Hey everybody, my name is Jay, and this is I Have a Samurai. Today we're going to be looking at a match from April Annihilation, which happened this past weekend. This is one of the few times that I'll talk about a match that's not in top 8. The reason why I'm not talking about top 8 is I actually did the live commentary for April Annihilation for top 8, so my thoughts are kind of already out there for those matches. So today I'm looking at a match to go from top 16 to top 8. This is going to be Party Wolf playing Mina on the left versus Ramon playing Sophie on the right. We've got the ship stage, which is probably like not so great for Sophie, if only because of the incredibly long amount of time that it takes to go over to Mina because of the increased range from the starting positions. This matchup seems to me that like both characters have really strong tools against each other. Sophie has plenty of ways to get in. Constant tech crouching is going to make it so that Mina 6A isn't going to be as effective, but also Mina has a ton of lows that Sophie can't necessarily punish all that well, so let's see how this goes. 6-6A from Sophie is going to be a very huge tool for the majority of the match because it's normally unsafe to most characters, but Mina can't really punish it well at all, and as you can kind of see it there too. So yeah, he's just jamming 6-6A down his throat at the very beginning, which is smart. Party Wolf's able to thread the needle with the wall rising B. So that was an interesting situation where most people get up and have to block that A plus B break attack that Mina will do, which gives her relatively good positioning for either a 3B or a full crouch 1K kind of mix-up there. Ramon decides to just sack the amount of damage it's going to take to eat it on the ground and then get up and just disregard the setup in general. Isn't necessarily interested in even potentially guessing right to get away from Mina, doesn't want to risk dealing with any sort of grinder. So that's interesting. I guess it's totally okay when you have the life to burn, especially with the fact that it didn't seem like Party Wolf had a solid way of creating that situation again. So he just wants to get out of the situation in general.
This game looks like it's pretty much just going to be
almost gets a good whip punish there. Yeah, the 2BA, even if Ramon guesses right, and it happens there again, the lows are not really something that Sophie can deal with all that well. And so eventually he just kind of falls apart. And man, that round was actually relatively convincing for Party Wolf, but I thought it was pretty even up until like the middle of the match. So yeah, now he's being a little bit more ambitious of trying to get in. You see him using 236A, which most Sophie's players use anyway, but it's especially good here. Nice jump there, too. Yeah, Party Wolf's defense is pretty tough to crack, even from back in SE5. Wow, that was a really ambitious punish to get try to like the max damage that Party Wolf could get there, but the Axis kind of screwed him up. Pretty difficult there. So Party Wolf's going to spend Soul Charge. Yeah, see, 6-6A is going to like stop any of that kind of mid-range zoning that Mina wants to do, despite the fact that that Soul Charge is probably one of the best in the game. So now Ramon's kind of working on the guard gauge as well. Party Wolf's ducks have been incredible as well, not to mention these sidesteps. Both of these players are doing a lot of like in-close sidestepping, quite a lot, and Ramon can't get any sort of grab game whatsoever. Another in-close sidestep there, and again. So both of these players should be noticing that they are willing to wait a while and then try to sidestep when they're both really, really close. Mina's answer is a little bit harder and a little bit more awkward to pull off. Wow, that was incredible. But it kind of shows like what I was talking about, right? He's willing to wait a little while to block. Ramon is expecting a panic button. It doesn't come, and the panic button is in the form of a sidestep a little bit later on, turning it into a little bit more of an awkward situation to handle. So Ramon's option should be 6-6A there, which I already know that he knows is very powerful. Speaking of powerful. Yeah, he's going to try to abuse another really great sidestep into a ring out there. That was really good. He's, again, abusing moves that are normally slightly unsafe that Mina doesn't necessarily get any sort of solid punish to establish any further momentum, which is good. See, you saw Party Wolf try to duck in that same situation just a second ago, which he normally does. Good 2-2B. Both of these players should really take their hands off of the vertical button, because all they're doing is stepping. Almost gets a good punish. He sort of gets a good punish. That's the first full crouch 1B. Tries to sidestep there, but it looks like he sidestepped the incorrect way. So if I were Ramon, what I would be thinking about is just being a little bit more boorish about it, being a little bit more bulldoggy about it. Take advantage and lean on these moves that are normally something that you're going to force your opponent to scrap with. But with Mina, Mina can't really scrap in that situation. I don't mean to say that Mina doesn't have the tools to fight Sophie or really any character when they're in her face, but I really feel like the frames for Sophie allow her to kind of shove certain moves and certain ideas in the middle of a match that Mina can't necessarily handle very well. That being said, as I said before, Party Wolf's defense has always been one of the toughest to crack. One thing that was very surprising to me is that Ramon decided not to change the stage. Again, the distance that it takes to get to Mina in the starting positions, it can only get better. This stage, for one reason or another, just happens to be really, really far away when the characters start. And you see how what I mean, where it's just like constantly jamming these kinds of moves. I mean, it was about as good of a punish as Mina gets on the 2-6 AA, but like just constantly, 6-6B into 2-6 A, like. Constantly jamming 6-6A, just being very in your face about the whole thing, and force Party Wolf to have an actual solid answer rather than waiting for the pressure to dissipate, which is what he was doing in the first game. He was just kind of like waiting for Ramon to stop, and so that eventually, eventually he'll stop, and then he'll go for something like a grab or a 6-6B, and I'll get my opportunity. That was incredibly good. Like, I actually had no idea that you could get like an air hit 6-6A plus B to get a wall into a ring out. That's very impressive. I didn't know about that. Hey, look, more 6-6A. Oh, 6-6A would have worked again there. You can kind of tell that Party Wolf is ducking at a very similar timing as well. He's gotten the timing as to when Ramon is going to want to do a grab, or potentially a 1K. There's that duck again. Man, just walking around each other. That was so much damage that it blew my mind. So he's going to go with the Soul Charge to try and salvage this round. I like the fact that he's using 2-6 AA again to get away from the 6A. And it's such a shame that he got hit by that 6A. If he had just kept doing what Ramon was doing before, then the round would have been his. He was just constantly jamming 2-6A. He guessed it once, it didn't work. He guessed it a second time, it didn't work. And then if he had just... It always sucks when you're a player who tries to adapt to your opponent before they themselves adapt. And so you're like, okay, well, I've demonstrated that I'm looking for Mina 6A this whole time, so surely he's not going to do it this third time. And you kind of reach that secondary level of Yomi before your opponent has, and so you just kind of look like, oh, well, if I just kept doing what I was doing, if I just done another 2-6A, if I just done another 6A, this would have been Ramon's round and we would have been tied up. Goes for a Ross A plus B, so it's obvious that he wants to go for that guard damage. Nice jump there. That's a pretty good adaptation from the first game where he did the same thing. So you can kind of tell that Ramon is interested in doing a lot of 6-6K once he's up at the wall. Really, really high reward and not really very incredibly low risk. Man, more 6-6A. And now catching Party Wolf during those timings where he's normally ducking. I wonder if he tried to sidestep and that's why he got hit by that 3B. So again, unfortunately, it feels like Ramon has stopped doing the kind of thing that he was doing before and bulldogging his opponent. He's letting the aggression dissipate to a certain extent. See, he's trying to back up and play a kind of more spacing game, but that's really the one thing that Mina wants to make Sophie do. Ramon also is being a little bit ambitious. See, he's just kind of like running up and doing slower mix-ups. I wish he wouldn't worry too much about getting the guard break and rather just focusing on playing the exact same game that he was before. So Party Wolf decides to spend the meter, trying to get like the ring out there, which I appreciate. It's the last round. That was a little bit ambitious. Yeah, he's still ducking there. Party Wolf hasn't really changed what his game plan has been for most of this time, and Ramon is just kind of like letting him do those kinds of things. Wow, that was a really awkward GI into reversal edge. So he decides to go with a movement option right off the bat, and Party Wolf guessed right, and he gets the game. But very interesting, this is something that I'm noticing a lot of players doing nowadays, where they will use a movement option on the first time around, for reversal edge, which I'm not entirely sure I agree with. I don't really see the need to make a sort of hard read right off the bat. During the second time, I think I said in one of my earliest videos, doing a movement option when you are not the initiator of a reversal edge makes a lot of sense in the second time around for reversal edge. But in the first time, I guess I don't know. Maybe players who have much harder reads than me would disagree with that. But yeah. It was a really solid game from both players. They definitely had strong game plans. Difficult to beat Party Wolf in that matchup as he has Zephikai as a main practice partner, so it's hard to beat that kind of Sophie experience. But they both knew which tools they had to use, and I think if Ramon was a little bit more aggressive like he was in the early games of both Game 1 and 2, it would have been a little bit more successful. He just kind of adapted himself out of winning, essentially. If he had just kept doing what he was doing at the beginning, I think it would have worked out. But, you know, I ain't no soothsayer, so who can say? But that's going to be it for this video, and I'll probably do another one on the mix-up. If you guys want to let me know about a particular match that you want me to commentate or do analysis on, let me know and I'll do it. And hope to hear from you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, thanks very much.